Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and I've got my buddy Satoshi Sean joining us to see what in the world Janet is yelling about with stablecoins. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this. Make sure to give us a like, subscribe, and share this video. Hey, Sean, welcome back. I think the summer has finally hit. You were just starting to tell me. I've been at the pool all day. Cannon's got new goggles, so he's doing the watch me, showing me all his tricks
Mom,
in the pool.
Mom,
yeah. Watch me.
Come on.
Mhm. I've seen more dives and handstands, and backflips and front flips and pencil dives and standing on my head. And yes, look when I breathe with my mouth open.
Pencil dives?
Don't you know what a pencil dive is?
No, and I've grown up and around pools and water my entire life.
It's where you jump in the water, so you're standing like this is your feet, this is your head, and you jump in like this. Like a pencil.
Yeah, I got it. I did get the visual. You know,
that's a pencil dive.
When you go in the water, do you hold your nose?
No. I know your trick.
Yeah, it's. But I don't know. I tried to not do that sometimes, and the water goes up my nose. Oh my god! I don't understand how people can deal with the water up their
So
nose.
the other thing, so in Oklahoma, like yesterday, literally, it looked like there was that big haze cloud. I know people in China were seeing the sky go red. I don't know what that was about, but we don't have to go into that. But in Oklahoma, like there's just tons of pollen, and there were all these big fires in Texas. I don't know if you guys were experiencing any of that, but there was. So maybe we were getting some smoke from some of that fires in Texas, but there's all these, really high, like record-setting heat waves in Amarillo, 100 degrees in May, like bizarro stuff happening this weekend on Mother's Day weekend, and some crazy stuff. Anyway, so the sky, Cannon's like, why is it so foggy, hazy, whatever? We're looking at it, and so all my kids were kind of popping in and out of the house over the weekend. We have 7 kids together. One's passed away. One lives in Tulsa, so he and his wife weren't able to come in, but the rest of them kind of popped in and out over the weekend. And so we had a busy household, which, mamas love that stuff when they all come home. But almost all of them had some kind of allergy issue. So run to the medicine cabinet, are you congested? Are you sneezy, itchy? What are your eyes itching, burning, stinging, pain, discomfort? What's going on?
It sounds like a commercial for a product.
Yeah. Well, when you're a mom,
itchy, burning, swelling.
Itching, burning, stinging, pain, discomfort. Yeah. So I'm trying to get them all to consider doing some kind of neti pot thing and clean out their sinuses. And we had a lot of that with Mia because of all her immune system compromised stuff with being on the anti-rejection meds from her heart transplant. And so we always had this battery powered thing that shot saline up one side of her nose and then it would come out the other side, because if you understand how your body works. And so my daughter, I'm like, yeah, you should try it. And she's like, oh, I'll drown. I was like, you're not going to drown. Look, you can close your nose. You can still breathe out of your mouth. You could even train yourself. Part of yoga breathing is you train yourself how to breathe out of only one side of your nose. There's you can really mentally make yourself be able to do this without choking.
If you breathe out of one nostril?
Yeah. It's a whole yoga thing where you do you learn how to breathe just one side, then you switch it to the other side. It's a mental thing, and you
Yeah,
can
I
do
gotta
it
look it up.
physically.
That's weird. That would be
Yeah.
odd to do. I thought it was all connected, just one big thing.
It is connected, but you're able to like close off inside your head. Like you can close off up in your nose and then only breathe through your mouth.
You're not good. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Not one side.
Well, you can through some kind of yoga breathing.
I'm gonna look it
I
up.
haven't done the yoga breathing on one side or the other. I don't know about that.
A friend of mine used to be last crypto bull run. He was like one of the biggest YouTubers, my favorite ones. Um, Good guy,
What's
but
his name?
Keith Keith Waring. He he messaged me like back in December, and he was like, "Have you heard about this book?" And then he was like, "It's transformed my life, and you got to get this book. And here's a PDF." And I was like, "Oh man, someone got a hold of his account. They're gonna ask." And I was like, you know, "How much money for the book?" I was waiting for it. And he didn't. I thought that his account was just compromised.
Uh-huh.
And then I had some weird dreams actually the past week.
I was gonna say lately, or because I've had the same,
Really? Yeah. I recently
and
did.
my husband too. But we've had 2 deaths in the family in the last 2 weeks, and so
I
we're
know.
all a little freaked out. No, 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 thank you.
Well, I had this dream, and it was really weird. And it was vivid. I was watching TV with the boys, and then I like closed my eyes, opened them, and I was at the doorway of a patio, right, in an apartment. And I looked down, and my ex-wife is sleeping there, and her husband, who's like half a husband, she doesn't live with him. He lives with his girlfriend in the house that I help pay for.
Well, that's
But
convenient.
anyway, I looked down. They're there sleeping, and I was like, "How did I get here? What the hell's going on?" And then I don't have my cell phone because when I didn't transport me with my cell phone. So I go and I use the home phone, and it was this little. It was like a portable phone, I used to have with just a headset. And I called the house, which I have a home phone, but it's not hooked up. Hasn't been for I don't know, like 5 years.
You have like an old fashioned, like on the wall, or like a physical home phone,
Physical
like a
landline,
landline.
but
Yeah.
nothing's plugged in. I
Okay.
called it the other day and it said the voicemail is still on, but it's full. But I pay for it every month. It's in the cable bill. But anyway, so the boys answered, and then I'm like, "Hey," and they're like, "What happened to you? You disappeared." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm
I'm in the
here.
metaverse.
I'm at your mom's apartment in this other, in Belton." And then so they're coming to pick me up, and then weird stuff happened at her apartment. Um, but so some woman came in. It was a very unattractive lady, and then her husband was flirting with her, and it's just so not smooth, and it was really terrible. I was like, "God, what a fucking idiot." And
At
then,
your ex-wife's apartment.
yeah, she was still asleep.
Okay.
Anyway, then, at work, though, they start having sex. So I take the phone, I just peg her with it. She's asleep. And she's like, "Oh," it wakes up. I was like, "Hey, your husband's screwing the chick in there." So she goes in there, and she didn't care. They all start talking, whatever. And then they're having like a dinner party. So, and they're all just terrible people. They're all,
What a bizarre.
yeah. Well, her husband is from Canada. They got married. So he's becoming a citizen and all, but he hates the United States. She hates the United States. Um, Real like ultra super liberal. Um, anyway, so all their friends are there, and they're all just terrible people. So I'm like, I gotta go over. So I'm like, I gotta go to the pawn shop across the street. So I go to the pawn shop for some reason, and I come out, and I go get in a car. Now that I just realized why I had to get in a car. But anyway, it was an old car. I had this little car, but I was waiting for the boys to come pick me up. And I called my house, and some dude answered, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" He was like, "Oh, 10 minutes left. They're coming to pick you up." I was like, "Okay, well, who are you?" Like, oh, I'm their friend. They left me here. I'm watching the house. I'm like, all right, what's your name? He's like, I don't feel comfortable telling you that, man.
Oh, that sounds like something your boys would say.
I'm like, you're in my house, man.
And I can't give you my phone number.
Yeah, I know. And he's like, I was like, dude, you're here. What's your fucking name? He's like, Trinidad. I'm Trinidad. I'm like, okay. So I was pissed at this dude. So I wake up. I called Ted and Alex, and I'm like, do you know a guy named Trinidad? They're like, no. And then my ex-wife messages me, which was a little weird. But she asked like how I'm doing, and I didn't even answer. I'm like, why did you message me? Because I just had this dream, And then she
like in real life, she messages
yeah,
you.
real life, right afterwards. So she said
Mm-hmm.
she was asking me something, and then I was like, okay, because I just had this dream, and then you messaged me. It's kind of weird. She goes, it is weird, and I said, do you know a guy named Trinidad? And then she was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah. So she started dating a guy from Trinidad, like 2 weeks
Okay.
before
Well,
that.
we have a friend named Trinidad, but he's married and has 2 children.
Well, he lives here.
I'm sure it's not him.
He's dating my ex-wife. He lives close to me. So anyway, so that was weird. And then so then I had this, and then my girlfriend told me it was a vision. But then I had this weird dream that I went to Spain. I took the kids, and then Keith lives in the south of Spain, and I've been to Spain a few times. I love Spain; it's like my second favorite country. But I don't think I've ever been to the south of Spain because right
Okay.
across the water that's Africa. So I think it's a really different part of Spain. So I'm taking the boys. Like, we're going to go down to the south part of Spain, and Keith has some like these luxury condos there that he rents out like Airbnbs.
Oh,
And
cool.
I thought we'd rent one of those, and then I would surprise him, and see him. But we went out to eat when we got there. And his family's just at this restaurant. So he comes up, he's like, "Is that Satoshi Sean?" And I'm like, "Is that Keith Waring?" And the kids are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe people know who Dad is." It's some random restaurant in Spain. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm fucking famous. Satoshi Sean is famous." But
Okay, it's a big deal.
yeah, so but then I talked to Keith. So I messaged Keith that I had this dream, and then he was like, "Dude, that's so weird. It's like 20 minutes ago. I just suggested to this project that they need to fly people to Spain um, as like part of like a tourist thing. It was basically like what I was doing. That in my dream is what he was suggesting to
Oh,
these
wow.
project. He like showed me a screenshot. He goes, "I just sent this like 15 minutes ago." He goes, "It's so weird. Have you read that book?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was real." And then he's like, "Yeah." And then he started talking about like this one guy, but it's all like in the brain. And I'll send you the stuff. The book's called "Becoming Supernatural," and this
Okay.
guy is like a
So it's
neurologist.
like a 5D kind of thing.
Yes, it's 5D. That is the fifth dimension.
Yes,
But
I
this
know.
dude was like a super big scientist before he started going into this other stuff. So
Okay.
when he talks about it, he talks about like literally working certain muscles out and then forcing like spinal fluid up your spine, through these different to like stimulate these different parts of your brain, and it's all real like scientific. And it's really really strange. But then there's all these people that like healed cancer and had um, like tumors drop off and all this other really crazy stuff, man. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Very
so
cool.
yeah, yeah. That's I don't know
Yeah,
why I
I
got
like all that
this.
stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna send you some of the stuff and have you check it out. But I got the book, but I don't really read. And Keith
I'll
bought me.
read to you.
Well, that's the thing. Keith bought me the book, so I'm like, I can't read. I hate to read. So
You
I
can do
bought
like,
I bought the
so,
audio book,
oh,
and then
then you can have the computer read to you.
no, but then I fall asleep. But
Oh,
I had this idea. I'll have the computer read to me while I read the book, and I'll read along like when I
Getting your
was
selection from Audible.
okay.
Resuming
there
becoming
she goes.
supernatural.
Computers stop.
Even when you whisper to her, she can still hear you.
She started reading the book, but I thought that was a good idea, and then I told Alex, I'm like, Alex, I had this idea. He goes, yeah, that's what I do. I don't like to fall asleep too. He
That's
goes, I was
hilarious.
like, why haven't you told me that? I was
Do you
like,
like follow along with your finger too?
no, I just
So when I
read.
was in school, I would read, but I would be so bored with the content. I'd get to the bottom of the page and I'd be like, what the heck did I just read?
And you read the page again.
I would read the page again because I would be in school and you're reading, but you're just like, I know I read the words, but I didn't pay attention
And then
because
it's
I don't
that's why I
care.
like movies so much. But that's why I like movies so much.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
like.
And
I like
we've
books.
been trained and conditioned to learn through video, which is why, YouTube is so successful and all that.
Mm.
Mom was telling me, I can't remember what she read, some article, or she may have watched a video about it. I don't know. But talking about how like um especially with COVID and so many colleges and classes going online, that like even some of our doctors now are being trained, like so many classes. It's not so much book learning, it's that they're watching and learning through video. And we learn so much through storytelling. So it's like
Mhm.
video, and then they're watching videos about surgeries and whatever. And so much of our learning now is through video and storytelling. And
I wonder also with like augmented reality and virtual reality now. Because like that kind of stuff, like you used to have cadavers and
mhm.
all that. I mean, you could literally do all that virtually now.
Yeah, with Metaverse and all that, you could do, yeah, so much easier multiple times, rinse, wash, repeat.
Mhm.
Oh, we made a mistake. Okay, restart.
You
We're gonna,
restart, you can destroy the
yeah,
body. Yeah,
destroy it and go back. Yeah.
that's weird to think about.
It also makes me think about, if reincarnation is true, is Metaverse and all that really training us to let go of this physical body? We've had a lot of death in our family recently. My dad passed away, and then we lost, like I said, my husband's brother and my brother-in-law on my family side, my little sister's husband recently. Um, and so, like, are we where a lot of people are like seeing metaverse as this horrible thing and this dangerous thing to like, oh, you're going to lose reality. Well, is reality really the thing that's more fake than metaverse? Like,
Yeah, there is. I think I don't. Okay, I think there is. And it's so complicated
it's very complicated.
because we've gotten more complicated, so we understand more, but then we understand so little, but we understand a whole lot more than we used to. So, is there? I think there is a God, but then saying God, it seems so limiting. I think that there's a designer of the universe because with the chaos and all that, certain things are too precise. If you knock the moon out of
Sacred
orbit,
geometry, all that.
if you knock something and you change something 1 degree, 2 degrees, and everyone dies, the seas boil. There's so much
Mhm.
in the universe that's so precise that it couldn't be accidental. So there is a designer. I think that there is some kind of plan. Um, but is this and also the thing about when you die, when everybody dies, they lose the same amount of weight, like 28 grams or something.
Mhm.
So it's like, is that the weight of a soul? But
Is
that's a
that is that your consciousness,
or what is a consciousness of soul? It's the same
or
thing.
is that the same
And
thing?
how do you explain that?
Mhm.
Everyone loses the same amount when they die. That weight is gone.
Mhm.
It's a very precise scientific thing. Um, so that's what this is all like studying, and I just started getting into it. But everything in the universe is connected. We don't really die. Another thing that no one talks about is the fact that like nothing is destroyed on Earth. Like you
Mhm.
set fire to something, it's still the same matter. It's not like it's gone. I mean, a pound of wood, if you set it on fire, it's still a pound. It's just it's in different parts.
And carbon and
Yes.
oxygen and yeah,
So
it becomes different
and
elements.
water and all that. So yeah, but the nothing is ever destroyed. Nothing is ever gone. And that I think that's such a crazy thing to think about. Um, so I think that maybe that with our body and all that it's a step that our journey that our consciousness goes through. Um, so maybe in putting it in the metaverse, it's not good that we're taking it out of the reality that it's supposed to go through. I don't know.
Or are you taking it out of it? If it can go there, is that
Well,
you're not really taking it out of it then?
I watched what Musk said again about how we might be living and that's the thing. He didn't say we might be living in a simulation, but if you listen to what he says, the way he says it blows your mind. He said if you like 20 years ago, we had Pong, we had a stick and a ball.
Mm-hmm.
That was the extent of our game. If you look at games, that was the pinnacle of our technology.
Mm-hmm.
And in this short period of time, you have multi-immersive, photorealistic, video games where it's hard to tell the difference between if something's real or if something's digital. And he said, if you think about that and give it even like half, if that technology is going to move half as fast as it has already, not even continue on its same course, that means like 5 years from now, you won't be able to distinguish anything at all. Based on what it is right now versus what it was 5 years ago. An 8-bit system like 10 years ago. It's moving so fast to where it is right now. If it continues to improve at all, we won't be able to tell what's real and what's not, just in a short period of time. And he said that alone it should give you pause to question whether or not this is a simulation now, because look at what we've been able to do already. So it's like, yeah, that does make sense. Technology has moved so quick. I remember.
But where technology really stopped moving, if you look at, in the 40s and 50s, and they were like, oh, by, the 70s, everyone will be in flying cars and whatever. And then it's like, nope, it all stopped. Once we hit the cars and whatever, once the cars were established, everybody thought, oh, it's going to go so fast. And then we just went to the moon, supposedly.
Or
we did or not. Or did we? I don't know.
We don't know. Or did we stop moving?
Did we stop moving? True.
If you look at certain things that get out, or certain things that, like, if you look at research and development right now,
right? So has all that gone behind the curtain, and so we really are moving fast.
There's suits that make people completely invisible. I mean, you can't see them. Like, the people will step out and like, oh, look, I'm standing in front of this thing. And you couldn't tell. I'm like, no.
Well, Public and I have done. I mean, it's been years ago now, but he's like, yeah, supposedly there's like these fighters on the lawn of the White House, and I'm like, what? And he's like showing me these things that are, pointing to the fact that there's like these planes that are completely invisible on the lawn of the White House. But this has been, years and years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, yeah, you can go on YouTube and you can look up what like a regular person with a little bit of money has made, where they can make something that renders them invisible. And that's just a dude. Can you imagine what governments have behind the scenes, or corporations have, that they don't want to tell the government, and the governments don't want to tell other people? I mean, that's what I'm saying. When you look at what we know, and you have to know there's at least, we're maybe seeing 20% of what we can see. I mean, we weren't supposed to believe there was even an Area 51, let alone what's there.
Right.
I mean, the whole base was denied forever. So there's so much that they could just say, oh yeah, we've been doing this for years. Oh yeah, there's completely cloaked technology. We have destroyers that are completely cloaked. Time travel could be real. We just don't mess with it. There's actually a time police, like time cop. Oh, you can move forward, but you can't, or you can move backwards, but you can't move forward because future hasn't happened yet. That's time law. I mean, it is crazy. And then I think Chin really just wrapped it up that we don't know what we are yet, and that was part of the big. Man, why do we do this? Because now I start thinking about it. One of the big
We're
things that
supposed to be talking about stable coins, but then
the
I
war on
got him
drugs,
off on a tangent. So
and I don't do drugs. I tried to do mushrooms and they didn't work. Um, so I don't know. Like a couple weeks ago, they were just like I drank a couple.
really?
Yeah, I drank like it was like I drank a few beers, and then I took another one and it was
I
nothing
just
at all.
heard you're supposed to do that with like people that you love and out in the woods where it's really safe. I get freaked out by all that stuff because I'm so afraid
I was
somebody's gonna A, lace something in it,
I my
and
my
B, that I'm not gonna be
cousin
in
gave it to me
control.
for Christmas. He made chocolates and gave it to me, and I was sat in the fridge for months. But I was going to watch Dune and do it, but I put on Excalibur and ate one, and I did.
It's your favorite movie.
I did see a lot in Excalibur, just like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but it's the real one. Um, but I did like I don't know. I was more open to the all the symbolism in it,
Oh, in the
you
movie.
know. And I did see a lot of stuff that I had to, but then I could just chalk it up to because I watched that movie a bunch. I watched it as a little kid, and there
Mhm.
was like, oh my god, there was 5 boobs in this movie. Oh man, and that was the biggest thing. And then when I was like a young adult, it was very different. And then even like as a
So a lot of it is just your maturity and your life experience.
yeah, and then I
Yeah.
watched it again, and it was all patriotic. It was the government, it was the kingdom, it was unity, it was America. And now when I watch it, it's completely not. It's all about it's all about individuality. It's about self. There's like
That's like reading the Bible, though. You could read the Bible 10 different times and or hear a passage in the Bible 10 different times,
yeah,
and it means 10 different things depending on where you are in life or what's happening in your experience.
and I posted on Twitter that night and
Oh, no, you
about
should
it.
not tweet and shroom at the same
I
time.
put it was a what was the quote? It was towards the end, and Arthur he was almost died, and then Percival, which was always my favorite knight. I named a dog Percival. Um, he found the Grail, gives Arthur the drink. Arthur drinks out of it, and then he said, "I didn't know how empty my soul was until it was filled." And then he goes, "Okay, gather the knights. We're gonna ride with your king one more time." And then they all come and they ride through, and the land and him are connected. So it's how we're all connected. We're all part of everything. Um, then he rides out, and anyway, but he goes to Guinevere, who was in a nunnery, a convent, and she had Excalibur for him. And then he talked about the afterlife, that him and her could be together then, and he could just be a regular guy, didn't have to be King Arthur. Um,
Which version of Excalibur is this?
this is the real version, Excalibur, with Patrick Stewart. And he said the fellowship was a fine time, um, but he has to go and fight again for for what was, and for the dream of what could be. And I thought that was like a good thing about what America is. You have to keep fighting for it, and he kind of lost that. And like there's parts in America's history that were wonderful times.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not what it could be, and we keep falling, we keep faltering. Um, yeah, Jim, there were boobies, but it's for the dream of what could be. Um, I'm gonna look it up.
So I also had this thought the other night. Trump was endorsing Oz, which I think he's a complete rhino, and I think it's been blatantly obvious. People have put out videos after video of him.
He's buddies with Oprah, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And him making statement after statement that is absolutely not conservative Christian, endorsing, transgender kiddos and all kinds of crazy crap. And I'm like, but I almost think, that Trump might be doing the destruction of Trump, which I think actually would be a good thing for America because
we don't want to.
He would remove himself.
Yeah. So this is it, and this is I posted this when before Elon bought Twitter, when he was fighting and they were going through all the crap. The fellowship was a fair time that cannot be forgotten, and because it will not be forgotten, that fair time may come again. Now once more I must ride with my knights to defend what was, and the dream of what could be.
Elon posted that?
No, I posted it, and then I said, keep going to Elon Musk. Okay. And I tagged him in it. And then he called me.
And he called you, and you guys are going to lunch and go to Spain and hang out with your buddy.
I got to do a show with you. I told him no.
Oh, well.
But yeah.
He's welcome to join.
And also the plan. I've been watching some other stuff, weird stuff about the Vatican. I did go down that rabbit hole. And I don't think the Vatican is evil. I've come to that conclusion. No, I don't think so. But that's the thing.
The head,
the head exercise. Richard Simmons of the Vatican. The head exorcist and the guy who's in charge of like that whole department has publicly said many times that Satan is in the Vatican, that he is there, like the real devil. He said that he's met the real devil many times. So I think that the Vatican has, like most things, most institutions, it was started with good intention.
I believe that.
Evil has infiltrated it.
I believe that too.
But I think there is two sects not sex in the Vatican.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that there's a battle going on there in the Vatican, in the church.
Well, just like the government, just like a lot of things. I mean, I think all of those things.
Yeah.
All the things that have been infiltrated, but
I believe
it's been.
I didn't know this, but getting to our subject, to what we go over,
yeah.
You know that the Vatican is a country. Yeah,
you know like that. Disney.
No,
they're their own country.
They're a legitimate country. You know that.
Probably, yeah, like London.
No.
The Vatican.
No, London is still nothing. It is a legitimate, its own country. Much more than London, much more than Washington,
like DC?
No, much more. It is a legitimate country. Yeah. So everyone knows that, though. I can't believe you didn't know that. Everyone knows that.
I think I knew that. I knew that, but I thought I knew it was its own country, just like DC and.
No, not like just DC, because that's not a real thing. They're part of the United States. The Vatican's not part of Rome or Italy or anything like that. It's its own full-on country. And because it's different, did you know that it has its own bank?
Yes, I knew that. I knew it had its own bank.
That it was its own world bank. And because that's this weird thing, the Vatican City is not like any other entity. It's not like a country, but it is a country. It's not like a church, but it is a church. So its banking system is part of the World Bank, but it can't be investigated because of the religion. So it has this weird gray area. And because of that, it's done a lot of shady stuff when it came to the Nazis, to Ponzi schemes, to a lot of weird stuff that it has done over the decades, as far as investments and money laundering and other stuff. And it's super, super, super tied in to the mafia.
Why do you think Nancy went over there and took a picture holding that bowl and all that crap?
The bank gives loans The
Yes.
bank financed a lot of
Yes.
mafia projects and things like that. There's
Mhm.
so much that I was like learned about it,
Yeah, I
and
knew about
I didn't know that they were part of the world banking system, and they had their own, and they have because they're a country. It's not like just a bank branch. It's a legitimate, like like the World Bank of Russia or somewhere like that. It's very crazy, and it's a rabbit hole you can go down and
interesting.
find out a lot of weird stuff. But
Very
yeah,
interesting. So
stable coins.
speaking of that and going into stable coins, this whole thing with stable coins and Janet Yellen um, saying that because what I'm curious about, people are saying like, oh, now's the time, jump into Luna. It's a Luna is a token, not a stable coin.
Mhm.
But um, would this be the time where they get rid of all the stable coins and launch their CBDCs?
Yeah, I think CBDCs are coming. I think stable coins like everyone else, because you can look at Bitcoin, and I mean it's down. Litecoin, 70 some bucks for a Litecoin.
Mm-hmm.
What a piece of shit!
Right.
What a volatile piece of shit!
I'll take it every day, all
What you
day.
need is some stability, some CBDCs.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, what's a direct competition
But
to
she
what?
she literally said that there was a run on stable coins. How is
Right.
that even possible?
Okay, so there is.
Explain this to me.
It's obvious that people are wanting to get into crypto, and they know that.
Yeah.
So, and people were looking at Bitcoin and the big ones as a hedge. It's not a hedge. That has been proven now. It's not a hedge because you can line up the Nasdaq and the Bitcoin chart, and they're almost the same. So they've discredited crypto as a hedge, as a safe haven for you to put your money in.
Do you think so? I was watching your video from this weekend on Saturday. You guys should go watch his lunch break from Saturday. And were you saying that they were able to possibly do that because there's such a small market cap in crypto right now?
Yes, they still are able to control that,
They're still
and
able to
I
control it.
think that by them doing that, they've discredited it because there's a lot of YouTubers and other people that are like, it's obvious it's not a hedge against inflation. It's obvious it's not digital gold. Only gold is gold, and they're able to do that. So basically, what I'm saying is that they want to ruin crypto
The
for that,
reputation.
and
Yeah.
then you're going to ruin stable coins by comparing them to CBDCs, and because of there's going to be some kind of scam. If they take down Tether, I've always said that they're probably going to take down Tether, and when they do, that will be that'll be out. That'll be the crypto, you know, crash. That'll be it.
Fail. Yeah.
That's something
Fail.
that's going to take us a long time to recover from. And
Mhm.
we did that. We had this beautiful thing of Bitcoin that Satoshi gave us as a gift, and we created our own central bank with Tether. We allowed it to grow. Every exchange is now the foundation of it is Tether. You can trade back and forth in this and different pairs and across. You can trade now Tether onto what Tron, ETH, Solana, BNB. It's like there's there's Tether on every chain now. So we've made Tether the bedrock of everything, and it's one of the shadiest stable coins there is. Always
Yes.
has been. Tether Mafia. There's so much.
Mark Pierce.
It's not like it's been around for decades. I mean, crypto's not been around that long. We allowed this to happen. We made this bed, and at any time they can come in, expose so much. There's so many things when it comes to Tether that are not. I'm not going to say that they're massively illegal, but there's so many things that are fishy, that are odd, that are off, that could be investigated, that could be fudded. And if they do take down Tether, it will hurt the crypto economy so much that it could set us back to the beginning. It could pull institutional money out. It could scare the average person out.
Especially the newbies, right?
It's newbies as far as people in the past 3 years, which
Well, yeah.
it's going to be a lot of people who aren't considered newbies anymore.
Oh,
It could be just a failed experiment. When we really talk about it, paper money hasn't been around that long. Income tax in the United States hasn't been around that long. If it were to stop in the views of history, it would be looked at as a failed experiment. And paper money didn't really work because they stopped having it backed by gold. They did this wrong. They did that wrong. It was a failed experiment. It was a failed experiment. If you look at this in the eyes of 100 years from now,
right.
It literally was only around for a few decades.
Right.
Yeah, as soon as they took it off the gold standard, man, it was what 3 or 4 decades, it was gone.
Right.
If you step back
With
from
us living in it right now, it seems
if you look at it through the way that they think of things is generational, it would just be looked at as a failed experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So crypto only being around for a decade plus, it would just be. I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, it was a good try." Maybe we'll get it right next time. So, and we allowed Tether to be. We allowed so much of our economy to be built on that, and we shouldn't have. We should not have.
But staying in one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And one Litecoin is one Litecoin. And watching what, like, the whole thing with Doge merge mining with Litecoin, and the fact that can keep mining forever and be the people's money and all that kind of stuff. Like, those kind of things are where I'm like, well, you can still opt out and not use stable coins. Like, if people decide that the dollar is crap, then who needs a stable coin?
See, I think if we wouldn't have built so much on Tether, we could do that. But we've built a centralized banking system where it's not the people's money, it's all going through Tether. I mean, and I don't know if you know this, but like if someone's going to send you some money and they want to send you Tether, they can send you Tron Tether. And
yeah, I just don't use Tether, and I don't use
like 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't use Tether. I don't have any Tether or any of that stuff. So it doesn't affect me. So I guess I don't understand the significance of it.
I'm trying to read the chat. But I think that they have discredited crypto as a hedge with the volatility, and especially with Yellen being involved, I think they're going to try and discredit stablecoins.
But that's to launch their own
right
CBDC and validate and say this is the stable coin.
They say this is a stable coin. This is what you can trust. This is on, the tried and true system. This is the evolution of the dollar. This is the evolution of money.
And then that only is to be able to make sure that they can track everything coming in and out of crypto.
And I think you're going to have the same people, just like debit cards and credit cards.
Yeah.
The old folks were like, no, I'm putting my money in a mason jar and it's in the backyard, and
people that paper folding money.
They wouldn't use it. And I still have friends, a lot of friends, when I argue crypto with them, they would be like, dude, I only deal with cash money, man. I work for cold, hard cash. And I'd say, no, you don't. I said, at the end of the week, you go to the teller who's behind like a cage, and Margaret, pays you in cash through the bars. Is that what happens to you? And he's like, no, I get direct deposits. I said, yeah, you get a bunch of ones and zeros digitally going into somewhere you think they're going, and then you have a piece of plastic, and you show it to people, and they take your ones and zeros. You never have cash. You don't have any money. I said, you are already using
You're
all
already
these
in
things.
the digital system.
Don't give me
Yes.
that. And
Hmm.
then my friend's like, I had another friend was like, look, man, that's not real money. I can't go down to 7-Eleven and fill my gas tank with the Bitcoin. And I said, you know what? I can give you a $60,000 bar of gold, and you can't go to 7-Eleven and fill your tank with that either.
Yeah.
I said, I'm sure that the teller would, or the person, and then I'm not even sure they would, but
No, they probably wouldn't.
no, you ever seen? There's videos
Mark Dice. Yeah.
all over YouTube. People,
Yeah.
guys like, hey man, here's an ounce of gold or a
Hmm.
Hershey bar,
Yeah.
and
Mark Dice will do that.
90% of people take the chocolate.
The chocolate. Yeah.
And
Insane.
I've seen a bunch of different ones where people's done it with silver, and one guy did it with gold. They're like, no, I'm gonna take the sandwich, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, really, really.
Yeah.
So people, and finally, like that can get through to some people. I'm like, it's true. He goes, well, I said, you don't know that they would take it, and they're not supposed to take it. You
Well,
can't
and
go
how do
build your
they
truck up.
validate it?
You
How do
can't
they
build your
know
truck
it's
up right.
yeah? How do they know it's real gold? How do they know
Have
it's
to get
real
arrested.
silver? Because that was one of the other things when Miss Teen Crypto did one of her little interviews, with people on the street, Manhattan or whatever. She was talking to other teens, and she's like, what kind of money do you use? And they were like, Cash App, Venmo, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, why? And they were like, because we can trust it.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody's been given fake bills, probably, where they got, fake money before or whatever. And so they could trust Cash App, they could trust Venmo. Well, even when you get to, and I have gold and silver, and I think that that is a good store of your value. And I believe there's a place for it in our society. And I think we'll get to a bartering situation and all that. But as far as spending in real time, like if I go to 7-Eleven, are they going to be capable of weighing my silver to fill my car? And are they going to be able to do a test and know that it's real silver? Like, probably not. That's probably not a real good use case,
But it's a way to break through people's
Yeah.
bigotry. I guess it's too strong a word, but because he's like, look, Bitcoin's not real, and I'm like, dude, what you have isn't real. You have paper. That's just paper. It's not even backed by gold anymore. I was like, that's literally, and I'm like, if you step out of your bubble of the United States, look at Venezuela. Venezuela was like a paradise, like an election or two ago. It was held up. I mean, Bernie Sanders was like, look, we could be like Venezuela. That was like his whole thing. We could be like Venezuela. And then the next election, he didn't say that because it had all fallen apart. But it was literally the example
Well,
of
and that was the
socialism.
oil and gas that
Yeah.
was
But it was
that
like,
was
look,
doing that.
and now literally toilet paper is more expensive than the money. Like you could have $1 million in bolivars, and you could wipe your butt with it, and it would last you longer than buying toilet paper for like 4 million. It's crazy. Towards the end, people were working at McDonald's and didn't make enough to be able to eat there in a week. They
Mhm.
couldn't buy a value meal, and and this was in a short period of time. There was a what was that guy's name? I forget his name, but he was a YouTuber. He was married to his wife was Venezuelan, and they were like a upper class average family. Her father had worked and retired, and he had like $150,000 that he had saved up, and that dropped to like 5 grand, worth like 5 grand in a matter of months, sitting in the bank. It was that
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Um, so, and we're starting to see that, and it still freaks me out that, I mean, I'm watching prices of everything go up. I mean, like you've seen the cereal boxes get smaller and the prices go up and this go up and that, but it's not been a uniformed everything going up at the same time for like since I was a little kid, and we had just come off the gold. I don't know why. I didn't know why at the time. Everyone was complaining about inflation, but it was because they killed the gold standard,
Mm-hmm.
like a year or so before, and it was the aftermath of that. Um, and to see that all happen now so fast, I told you, eggs went up 3x in like a week and a half. Um,
Yes, you were telling me about
everything's everything's
that. Hmm.
going up. Everything that was like two for $1, like certain stuff that I buy all the time. Every few days. I buy like diet drinks. Um, they were two for $1. Now they're like 75 cents each. There's like everything is
Yeah,
going up.
we've been a little bit protected by that just because of some choices that we made in our family. I showed public our freezer the other day. Well, this has been months ago, and he was like, "You're a meat millionaire." I was like, "Well, like we knew it was coming,"
Yeah.
and I thought this was sweet. Divvy Daddy posted this picture. He's like, on 5/8, we spent 2 Litecoin for $800 worth of baby formula from the UK. Today, hashtag we beat supply chain crisis. 6 months late, we get 50% off and refunded 2 Litecoin. Lisa Mighty Davis and Johnny Litecoin, thanks for the advice. One with crypto, Kindle free food. So they got some like half off coupon. And so they were able to get ahead of the crisis because we were warning people about it and made sure that they had their baby formula and all this. So like when you're talking about when we were kids, I also had like a weird situation because in the 80s, my parents, we were moving. My dad had lost a job. My bio dad lost like another job. And we were moving from Arizona to Houston. And everything we owned got stolen. We'd stopped in Sherman, Texas, and at a hotel for the night, and our trailer and our moving van got stolen. And mom, with 4 kids, a dog, and a worthless husband, woke up the next morning with everything we owned got stolen. Moved to Texas, and my dad had lied about having a job lined up for him. So although everyone was going through like this crisis of oil and gas and what was going on in the economy, we thought it was just like our family thing. So I have kind of an alternate reality of that. And then my mom went to work full time, and our family fell apart and all that stuff. So I don't have a real clear memory about what was going on in the economy of that time because we had so much personal stuff happening. But then I'm hearing all these stories, and I know like the oil boom, happened. I know all my friends were wealthy in Houston, and then it busted and everybody lost everything. And my mom eventually remarried to my stepdad my papa that we love. And then we moved to Oklahoma. But then everything busted, and the oil
Yeah. Well, it
was,
always busts.
yes, it always busts. And I think,
it boomed and busted a couple of years ago.
it boomed and busted. And then, yeah. And that's when DJT was in and oil was negative, and, but we loaded up on it in the US, and he made that statement, that Mexico will pay us back in another way, some other time. And I still think that's going to play out in this scenario somehow. I don't know how, but there's just so many levels. And when you talk about, when we were talking earlier about the world and energy, and it never goes away, it just moves somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
The markets are the same way. The energy is all still there. It just gets moved around in somebody else's pocket. And so it's like, it's all still there. Trying to say that the economy is terrible. Oh,
Yeah,
it's just in someone else's pocket.
My nephew's like a young kid, but he's been through 2 boom and busts of the oil business.
Yeah. It's bullshit. It's just in someone else's pocket.
Yeah.
All that energy, all those numbers, nothing has left this earth. All the oil is still here. All the gas is still here. All the gold is still here. It's just sitting in someone else's pocket. So it's all bullshit. It's just
Yeah.
who are they benefiting and who are they hurting right now?
I've been looking. So I've been going down some rabbit holes past week or two, but I am the doom and gloomer. I'm thinking
Welcome to my
2025,
world.
2025.
Yeah,
We're done.
in a
For
good way.
I don't know. Yeah, one or the other. 2025. It's either they 100% win or they 100% lose.
We can't manipulate it past that. Yeah,
Um,
I think the bridge out is, I think the opportunity to make exponential wealth for your family through the bridge out, I think they cannot drag it past 2025 the
oh,
latest.
and that's frustrating for me. Because I don't know if I told you this or I said this, but I was so pissed because with crypto, and you know that I made $1 million last November, and then I
Oh,
lost 900
yes, I do know that. Yes, I do know that.
$20,000. Yeah,
Yes,
because of people who are dicks and they scam.
because of criminals, which I know a couple.
They're not criminals because they're not arrested. They're not in trouble. In fact, they're
Well,
they're
okay.
growing and getting bigger. And I don't. Anyway, my point is that because of crypto, I've done well. Like I retired. I just do crypto stuff. I don't even sell. I don't sell clothes. I don't sell my stuff. I got these dope, cool fridge magnets. I just give stuff away. I give away crypto on my show all the time. Um, but because the egg, I was in front of the fridge and I was looking at the egg thing, and then I told you I've been trying to buy land and land. There's land for $1,400 million around where I live, and that's ridiculous. That there's no. I live around Fort Hood. There's no like big agricultural stuff or anything. So, like you talked about, and I talked about that prices are artificially inflated.
Yes.
That they're pricing regular people out of the housing market, which I've always said that's what they're going to do in the end days, and it's happening now. It's weird that all the stuff we've been talking about is happening.
It's all coming down though.
But
I
um,
have
yeah,
notifications on my phone for this land area that I'm interested in, and I'm getting notifications like crazy because they know that with them raising the interest rates, that the mortgages, there was just a thing that Costco just pulled.
also anyone in the chat, if you own a home, I bet you're getting texts and emails and stuff in the mail. We want to make an offer on your house.
Not anymore. It's
You
all turning. Right now it's turning though, Sean.
remember under Trump and
It was.
before
They
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 printed up all the money and through all the stimulus packages and all that, and they gave it to their friends. About what 10% of it went to the people. They have a war chest. BlackRock and all these other companies, they have a huge war chest. They're paying double and triple what regular prices are for land and for homes because they're pricing. And people originally said, "Oh, they want to just buy all the affordable housing, so that you'll never own a house and blah blah blah." Now they just want. I think it's twofold, and that's the thing. We look at things so short term, and these evil people, they look at things generational, and I think they're really trying to price regular people out of the housing market. They've
right.
already jaded millennials who think they'll never own a home. Um,
But I think it's turning because now they're talking about that it's going to have to be 20 or 30% interest to offset the
then it will.
inflation.
Then it will be.
So nobody, they'll have to bring the housing prices down.
I don't know. We always say they're going to have to do it, and then they always do something insane. And you have to realize they have trillions of dollars in this war chest already from before. So if they do something again and they print up another few
But what if
trillion,
everybody walks away from the dollar and their dollars that they're printing and playing their monopoly money all of a sudden is worth nothing because all the other countries have stopped playing with their monopoly money? The other countries are walking away from it. They're the only one buying those Fed notes.
and what about CBDCs?
Well, They haven't even launched them yet, kind of. And that's their next play in the game, is force the CBDC, and that's why they're trying to take down Tether, and that's why people need to not choose those too. Choose free sound money. Choose
Pretty bird,
Litecoin.
you're getting the spam. I'm getting the spam. They're
Choose.
constantly offering to buy your house. It's
Don't
annoying.
do it.
No, because you're not going to be able to catch up with it.
Yeah.
You sell your house and you're like, hey, I made triple my money. Now I'm going to go try to buy a smaller house, and you won't be
You'll
able to
never be able.
mortgage.
Yeah. You'll never be able to get into it.
But my point is, I was so pissed because I told the kids, I'm like, we're never going to come up. I was like, everyone else is going to be living in tents and eating dogs. I said, we're still going to be eating this damn house. I'm never going to get my jacuzzi. We're not going to get a pool. But we'll be better off everyone else. I'm not getting my.
Oh, speaking of which, I would like an update on the jacuzzi, because I plan on being there in December, and we won't be able to swim, but we can all jacuzzi.
Okay. Well, here's what happened. So they told me like a couple of weeks ago, we'll give you, because the freight people in Waco said we can't deliver your jacuzzi, it's too big. So we can't do it. We need a flatbed truck. We don't have a flatbed. So, and our lift gate, we can't do it. It's 1,300 pounds. And it's like 13 feet by like 15 feet or something. The box is huge. So the people I bought it from, which I didn't buy it on Alibaba, because I wanted to buy it from an American company so that I could, because I paid, crypto cash for it. So it was all up front. There's no financing. It was a lot of money. I wanted someone I could go after. They're super Chinesey. It's just like a P.O. box, and it came from China and everything. But anyway, so they said, look, we'll give you 10% back. Well, first they said, we'll pay for a forklift and rent it, and they'll come to your house, but you have to get a forklift operator. So now I'm thinking, I got to ask one of my friends to do this.
Surely you have a friend that knows how to drive a forklift.
Yeah, I do, but what if they drop it? What if they hit my house? I'm not going to sue them. They're not like bonded. It's not a company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just be like, oh shit. Well, okay, thanks. Now that's tens of thousands of dollars fixing my house, and then the jacuzzi's gone. So anyway, but they said, look, well, why don't we? You can, if you can get it delivered, we'll just give you 10% back. And I was like, cool. So now I have a bunch of money. I told my kids, I was like, hey, do you think that my son's best friend, would he want to go get it? And I'll give him like $500 or $1,000. So he was like, this, my son's best friend is like, hell yeah. So he's got a flatbed trailer. He was gonna get it. He could even, if we had to run a forklift, he could get. He's a forklift operator, but he's gonna get it and bring it here. And then he calls me and says, yeah, they said that you have to put me on as a authorized person to go pick it up. So I call, and I've been calling people in Waco, and I call and on Monday because I couldn't. Oh no! And then they called me on Saturday, and they called me from England. It's the Chinese people. It's hard to understand them. I mean, it's super Chinese from England, so it comes up as a British phone number, and they're like, "Yes, you'll buy it, the bathtub," and I'm like, "It's a hot tub, but yes." And they're like, "Whoa!" So then she said, "Can we deliver it Tuesday?" And I was like, "Tuesday would be fine," but I have, so I'm talking to them about it. They want to deliver it Tuesday, today.
You're like, I can do that.
So they called on Saturday, so I can't call to put the guy on until Monday. Call Monday, like, hey, I just, the dude answered, and I just let him have it. I was like, man, these people are supposed to pay for a forklift, and they said they're not going to pay for a forklift. So that's why I went ahead, and they're going to give me 10% back. So I went ahead and told my son's friend, I'm going to pay you to do it. So he was going to come pick it up. He said he called you guys and you wouldn't let him do it. So I got to add him on there. He goes, look, man, we got rid of that last week. He said, we got a message from the third party that said to abandon the delivery of the package. So we got rid of it. We sent it out last week to our abandoned warehouse. And I'm like, no, they just called me and said they were going to deliver it Tuesday. I was calling you so they wouldn't deliver it Tuesday because I'm gonna have
Oh
to pick it up.
my God.
He goes, no, you're not here. We don't have it. It's not even in Texas. I just tracked it to Oklahoma. It's in Oklahoma now.
Maybe I can buy it.
Yeah. So then he said, and I came in to work today, and there's a message here telling me that they didn't want me to do that. That the Homery, where I bought it from, they want me to try and stop it and send it to their warehouse in Houston. But we don't have anything to do with it anymore. We abandoned it. Now Homery wants me to send it back to their warehouse, which is in Houston.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
are you serious? He said, yeah. So he said, no matter what, we're not involved. He goes, well, I'm going to try to get it stopped from going to the warehouse of our abandoned stuff and get it sent to their warehouse in Houston. So I called Homery and I was like, look, and then she's like, yeah, you want it? So Tuesday's good. I'm like, no. It's not delivered. They're like, yeah, we understand. It is not delivered. We want to deliver it Tuesday. I was like, no. It's not
That's
here.
not even
I said,
possible.
it's not here. It's not possible to. They go, yes, we know it's not there. That's why we want to deliver it Tuesday. Is that good? I'm like, so I'm trying to explain it to them. And they're like, okay, we'll have the people call you. So the shipping department calls me and they're like, yeah, we just want to make sure it's good Tuesday. So I go over and explain everything. And they're like, okay, hold on. We'll call you back. And it's getting later in the day. And then this lady calls back again. And then she's like, okay, yeah, we just got to make sure that Tuesday is fine. So I go through, and then finally I'm like, look, the hot tub is not in Texas. I said, it is in Oklahoma. And then she was like, what? And then I went over everything again. Then she finally understood it. Then I give her the phone number for the warehouse in in Waco. And she called. Then she said, okay, I'll call them. So she's like, okay, we'll try to get it fixed. And so now I don't even know. And if I said I said, look, I gave you guys, it was like $9,000. So I gave you guys $9,000 last year, and I don't have my freaking jacuzzi yet. I said, you really should just give me my money back. And I thought about it. If they charge me like a restocking fee of like 30% or something, that's like,
Oh my God, I'd be so
that's like
pissed
$3,000 I'm out just
Yeah.
for the headache. I mean, I get nothing.
No, I
So,
would
and
be so.
I didn't do anything. I mean, it's like they should give me a full refund if they give me a refund, but I don't think it will. And
Oh, that's awful.
So hopefully they get the damn thing. Hopefully you don't have to go all the way to Houston to
Oh,
get
I
it.
can't imagine if you had to rent a truck in Houston and drive it back.
Well, I wouldn't. Shuey would do it, but still, then I'd have to give him more than
Even more money. And the
$1,000.
cost of fuel right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like we went to fill up the other day and we weren't paying attention and Charlie and we were in the Audi and Charlie and you have to put premium in that. And so Charlie's like, my gosh. And he said this really inappropriate thing about how high a giraffe's private parts are. And then I was like, what? And he's like, that gas price is this. And he said it again. And I was like, and
They're actually very low. They're not high. Did you know that about giraffes? They're by their back ankles. It's very odd. I can't believe
a girl's
No,
parts.
you would fall for that. No, guy. I made it up. I just wanted to see if you would believe it. You would.
Oh, I was like, what?
Those giraffes' balls are in their ankles.
No, he was talking about girls' giraffe parts. Anyway, it was very vulgar. That's how angry he was. He usually doesn't talk that way around me. But I was like, really? That is inappropriate. But anyway, he was very angry about it. So it was like over $5 for a gallon for
$5 a gallon in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Jeez.
For fuel.
It's pushing $4 here.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, my cousin, she just took this new job where she drives all over the country. I mean, all over. She was up by TPA in New Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, and then she went to New York.
And he's in like North Jersey.
Yeah, she was by she went to by where Rice is in North Carolina.
Yes.
She went to Kentucky, and then she went to Washington, and then she went to Idaho.
The state. Washington.
Yeah, because so she's on her way back. So when you buy, like if you buy a dog, like a purebred
Yes,
or
yes,
whatever,
yes, yes, yes.
or whatever, anything,
Yeah.
it's weird because she had
Mm.
40 sugar gliders in her car, and she was homeschooling my niece and nephew, so now she like takes them on road trips. So her and my nephew
Oh,
Justin,
that's so cool.
they're just driving across, eating at diners, and hanging
That's
out.
so cool. So they're seeing like
Yeah,
all the. So I was
see,
talking to Charlie about this August. We're gonna have a big meetup for our Crypto Confidential group in like Georgia area, and I think I'm gonna take Cannon because it's supposed to be like a really family friendly thing. Divvy Daddy's gonna have his kids there and have bounce houses. We're talking about doing like a whole old fashioned field day kind of thing with like 3-legged race and do like really fun stuff. So I think I'm gonna do this whole like education across America and take Cannon and do like stop at different, go to Memphis, go through like
it would
maybe
be
take him to
cool.
Graceland. I don't know.
But she was. I mean, I was wondering that. I'm like, because you're using so much gas,
Yeah.
and she's delivering these sugar gliders, and then so she was finally done, and my girlfriend's birthday is coming up, and she's like, I really want a sugar glider. And I'm like, really? It's really odd that you would say that, because my cousin has all these sugar gliders, and that she had like extra ones in case like some of them died on the trip. So, um, so she had like 2 left. But so on the way back, they called her and they're like, "Hey, you want to go deliver these?" I don't know what it was. Pick up a dog. Yeah, it was pick up a dog, and because if not, she's just driving back and paying for gas. So she was like, "Yeah." So
Don't those jump and like fly across the room and stuff?
she's thinking
Like that would
they
freak
get
me
loose
out.
in her car. So she's like, has to pull over and catch them. And then she's like, I don't want to keep them stuck in this cage, so I let them out sometimes. Then they go under the seat, and it's hard to get. I was like, what the hell? A sugar
Yeah,
glider is like
probably
it's like a flying squirrel.
that
You know.
thing. Yes.
So yeah, anyway, she said that she started out with 40 and she delivered them all except for 2. But then on the way back, she went to pick up some dog, and it was really shady. Like these, these dogs were supposed to be picked up like in a week or 2, but they were like, "Hey, you're already up there. It's only like 4 hours away, and you could pick him up, and then you would make like an extra $400 or whatever, instead of just driving back and paying for gas for free."
And she's thinking like gas is so
Yeah,
high.
so she's
That
like,
would
"Yeah, I'll
really
go out,
help. Yeah.
get the dog, and then deliver it." So then the people were pissed because the pickup was like a week, you know, or sooner, and then it was like a weird Craigslist thing. Like she met him at Walmart, like not going to their place, and then they were like, "Here, sign this form. It says that the dog is healthy and good and everything." She's like, "I'm not a vet. Like I'm not signing anything."
Good
And then
for
like,
her.
"You gotta take it. You gotta take it." And then there was like 3 or 4 of them, and then they were like yelling at her, and then she called her boss, and the boss like, "You don't have to sign
Just
anything.
drive away.
Just
Yeah.
take the dog." So she was like, "Okay, I could take it," because she wasn't going to take it. And then they're like, "Well, I'm not signing any of your stuff." And they're like, "It's okay. We just want to film you taking it." And she's like, "Okay." And she grabs it, and walked off. And they're like, "Wait, we don't have our phones out yet." And they're filming it. I don't know. It sounded weird. And then, like, my 10-year-old nephew's with her, so she was worried
I was
about
gonna
that.
say, and then your kids in the car.
Yeah.
No,
So she was. It was weird.
that is
But
very weird.
yeah. But yeah, she's. I mean, I don't know how much gas she's going through, but it would. And she doesn't get money for gas. It's not. I asked her if she got like an allowance or something. She's like, no.
I
Like they
would be saying I have to raise my rates because of fuel going up.
Yeah.
And
Well,
especially depending on where you travel, because like when we were driving, even last year, like, oh, Oklahoma and Midwest was fine,
mhm,
but like we got up into Pennsylvania and New Jersey and stuff
gas
last
is
year.
like super
Forget
expensive.
it.
Yeah,
That was
TPA
we
was saying eggs are like $6 and $8.
well, and we were in the diesel truck, like we were in my husband's truck, and forget it, that was like super expensive.
Yeah, and then there's less places you can even get diesel.
Hmm.
So
And then you have to have the DEF added to it.
what's that?
It's they make you put this blue stuff in it to not have exhaust.
I haven't
When
driven.
you and I were kids, this did not exist. This is, I'm sure, some kind of Obama bullshit that they make you put this stuff in your diesel truck, and if you don't have it in, then your truck slows down, and it's it's ridiculous. I don't even know.
I just remember that diesel don't have spark plugs; they have glow plugs.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to
we
let
have
it
to
warm up.
charge them up. Or something. Yeah, because it's when I worked for my friend's dad's car lot in Nacogdoches during the summers. He had a big car hauler, and that was diesel. And we used to go pick up uh, pick up cars like from auctions and stuff in Oklahoma and Louisiana.
Hmm.
And he would have car on car hauler and tow one, and then I would drive one back.
Your
But
dog is alive.
yeah,
I can hear the basset hound. Okay, so you didn't respond to me. I was a little worried
what?
because I said, "How's the pup?" And remember, you guys took her to the vet, and they were like, "Oh, she's paralyzed." And then you opened a can of tuna, and she was fine, and she walked right over to you. But now I can hear her.
That said,
So
she'll never walk again.
she'll never walk again until you open a can of food,
Yeah,
and then
as
she's
soon as I
fine.
came home, I put her down,
Yeah.
and I didn't know why they freaked because they all freaked out really bad.
But now she's fine. I can hear her.
She has trouble getting up, and then she barks. And then she needs help getting up. But
Oh, is that what she's doing? Is she saying, "Come get me"?
yeah,
So she has you guys all trained.
yeah.
I love it.
But she usually can. Yeah, she can get up about 25% of the time. But
Hmm.
she needs a little help at the
She
time.
has you boys all trained.
Yeah,
That's what that's about.
but she's it's she was running the other day, and then that the vet said that her lungs have kind of deteriorated, so she
Mm.
like breathes heavy. But she's 20 years old.
That's incredible for a basset hound. Like that's
She's an Australian Shepherd basset hound.
Australian Shepherd basset hound.
Yeah.
She sounds like a basset hound. That big voice.
Well, that's a different. That's not a bark. That's a like, oh, I really hate that I need help.
Oh,
A
okay, sorry.
whiny bark. She never used to bark that way.
Okay.
I think she's embarrassed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass her.
Yeah.
That's her struggling. Oh goodness. All
Why
right.
is climate change against CO2 necessary for life and
What?
not CO, carbon monoxide poison? Are they against CO2?
Why is climate change against?
I
See,
thought they were against carbon monoxide, no CO2.
oh, I don't know. That whole thing annoys me. I'm like, I grew up learning about how like water got absorbed into the clouds and then bumped into the mountain and went down, and that we talked to plants and then they let off oxygen, which fed us, and now all of a sudden none of that is true or matters. So
I was talking to Keith about that. How
we need to have Keith on. Is he
yeah, he would
in
love to come on.
hiding now, or
No, he would love to probably come on. He bought a race car,
ooh,
uh,
I love
and
cars.
a lot of stuff's going really well for him. Just like falling into place. But I told him I said this, and then the guy that wrote the book said what I said, but he said it much more eloquently. But I said it seems to me like the further technology and science advances, the more towards like the mystical and other stuff it seems to like move. Like I always thought that's goofy, like in a movie, like someone wants to take over the world, they want to get some ancient artifact that's goofy. But then if you look at people that almost took over the world, they all did that. Like
Mhm.
Hitler, I mean, he was like going after all these old, stuff in the occult and all these old artifacts and all. Um, so, and then I was watching some videos that this doctor had talked about, and he said that science is the new or the current language of mysticism. And I was like, that's what I said, but it made it sound so much better.
Jenny Moonstone was posting. Of course, she has a way with language. Um, very colorful. But she was a little frustrated, and she was like saying, like, basically, like, if they're trying to keep you from it, then maybe it's just a tool, and it's not that it's evil. But the person that you see in the reflection in the mirror, that may be what's evil, kind of thing. Like, and there may be a reason that they're trying to keep you from these tools that maybe they have been using for all these years.
Roger, if you pull up Roger Vere's Twitter real quick, me and Roger are friends. I love Roger. I used to think he was a dick.
I think he hangs out with Reggie.
But I remember I was listening to what he said, and it's like, hey, I agree with that. Hey, that makes sense. But I told him, I was like, dude, you're your worst you're your worst enemy. You say things, and the way you say them is annoying people, but you're saying really intelligent stuff. But if you scroll down, what he said, no, scroll.
Extra value meal.
That one, the value meal thing was good. Hamburgers didn't become more expensive. So many dollars were printed that it just makes it worth less. If you look, chicken and cows, completely different animals, but they cost the same. So I was thinking about this. If like 10 years ago, like let's say that quarter pounders are money, or that the food is money, and it doesn't go bad, it just to keep this.
Make food a stable coin. Chicken.
One Bitcoin is worth 1 Bitcoin. If you have this chicken sandwich, it costs 99 cents. And now it costs $3.
Right.
But 3 years ago, that chicken sandwich was still buy you a quarter pounder. They were the same. And now, all these years later, it costs you 3 times as much money. But look, you could still buy a burger with the chicken sandwich. They're still the same value. So and you know how anything can be money. That, I think, should show you how they didn't go up in price, that the money went down in value.
Well, I do that with cigarettes, tobacco, cigarettes. There's no technology there. Nothing has changed. But you can look at cigarettes, because you have to take something, like you said, like chicken or whatever, that hasn't changed. Well, what they've tried to do with chicken is said that because of the bird flu, because of all these COVID and people being out of work and processing and all that, that's why the chicken has changed. So before the vid and all that, we would use cigarettes like that. Nothing has changed, because you could use cars before or whatever, but then because of technology, that's why cars have gone up so much. Like, they could always make an excuse for things.
Yeah, those things are cheaper to make now.
Right. But cigarettes, nothing has changed in a cigarette. Like, the technology didn't change. Nothing changed. Why is it so much more? It's just that the dollar is worth less. So
scroll down. There's so many good quotes that Roger says. Keep going to where it's just words. Stop.
Just his own word.
There we go. The biggest political scam. You can read those.
Okay, biggest political scam in the world is how many people have been convinced that the key to their freedom is the free market, actually the chain that binds them. Interesting.
And then censorship has never exposed the truth.
Well,
and that's something that Joe Rotes brought up on World Blockchain Roundtable. He was just like, hey, man, I was thinking about this. I'm just curious. Anytime throughout your life, and I've just been thinking about this, he said, can you think of a time when the government or any company or anyone was trying to quell an opinion or to censor something that what they were trying to censor wasn't the truth? Is there any time when they were trying to censor something and that it was the lie? Can you ever think of that happening? And all of us were like, no. Anytime any government, any company, anyone was trying to silence something, it was always the truth. Throughout all of my own personal history. Can you think of any time through your life where anyone was trying to censor something or quiet something down?
No, I think we talked about that, when we first started doing shows together, where we were getting so frustrated, where we're like, no, I want the most racist asshole to be able to say exactly what he thinks, because then
Yeah.
my child is safe when I know that when I
Yeah.
know that's what he thinks, then I know to keep my child away from him.
And then, because I remember this girl. Well, obviously her family was super racist, but I was talking with someone else in school, and we were talking about going to the lake, and this girl was like bewildered, and she straight up looked at the dude and went, "You can you you can swim?" And he was like, "Yeah," but she honestly thought black people can swim, and she would never talk to a black
But
person like
that's not necessarily racist as much as
that.
that is ignorance.
Well, that's it. Ignorance, because that's where it grows in ignorance, because people don't talk about it, and because
Right.
she wasn't even involved in the conversation, she would have never have talked to him. She heard me talking to him about going to the lake, and that's
Mhm.
how she learned. And that, if someone who's raised a certain way can now know that's not really
Right.
true,
Right.
so
Exactly.
that's where they begin to question the lie
Right.
about it. And this was the best one. War is the worst government program of all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
And he's the B cash guy, right?
Yeah, yeah, he believes in bigger blocks, faster transactions. He believes more the Litecoin philosophy, that peer to peer cash, it needs to be used. It needs to be used, whereas Bitcoin is store value. It's slow. It's secure. It's valuable, but it's not peer to peer
He
cash.
didn't tweet for an entire year. How funny. An entire year. 10-year anniversary of my first public mention of Bitcoin, and then he didn't tweet for an entire year. I wonder what that was about.
Mm-hmm. I
Make
don't
sure
know.
you're spending it on important things. And the day Satoshi disappeared. Huh. That's interesting.
But Roger's a good guy.
That's really interesting. There are some good people out there, you know? Good to know. That's crazy. This space is so crazy. There are so many good people doing good things. Meanwhile, there's still the powers that be that you can see them fighting, and you can see these things happening to the little guys getting pushed around on the day to day.
Well, he's just the like all the crap you went through with the maximalists.
Oh,
He was preaching that 5 years ago.
well, and but at the same time, like, then when I stood up to him and we had this really awesome talk.
You're muted.
I actually wish we had it publicly, because if we had it publicly, I think it would have been a really healthy conversation. If he had been the same person he was on the talk privately that he was publicly, um, it really, I mean, we both pushed back on each other, but it was like,
Which
what,
that's what we're just talking about, letting people talk and having other people hear it.
yeah, like, what are your goals? What are my goals? Like, what are we trying to get done with this thing? Well, in my state, I'm trying to get this done. And he's like, well, I don't live where you live, but I'm trying to get this done with Bitcoin. And I'm like, well, that's great. Um, I care about Bitcoin overall, and I want those things too. But ultimately, and he was like, "Well, that's great, and we'll need you um, to talk to those kind of people in the future, ultimately." And then, but then once we got done with the conversation, and he was like, "Well, I would, if anybody ever tried to really physically hurt you, I'd be the first one to,
Big one.
defend you." And no. And then we got off the call, and he went and made some half-ass, not really apology, and like it wasn't really. And then I was like, oh, I thought he was kind of joking about it. And so I commented, and I was like, well, that wasn't exactly what you said on the phone call, but I'll see you in Golden City. And I thought it was like we were all cool. And then we get there and he like won't, he walks out of the room every time I'm walking a room and he won't look me in the face. And I was like, oh, you weren't sincere on the call, maybe. I don't know. It was kind
Or
of
he's got to,
disappointing.
got to be a certain way around his
His
power.
followers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but
So,
that's what Roger was talking about this way back before, because he would say something on like the old Bitcoin talk or was it Bitcoin talk? That was a thing? It's a thing?
yeah, there was years and years and years ago, there was a meetup and it was Roger Ver. Arcane Bear was filming it. And it was Roger Ver and I can't remember who the other guy was. And it was like some showdown at some, maybe it was even at Dollar Vigilante's very first in Acapulco. And they were like, and they were like across the table from each other having like some Bitcoin maxi showdown kind of thing. God, when was that?
But
It
he was
had
talking
to
about
be like
Reddit,
early
Reddit and stuff, like they would
2018.
censor him, they would remove stuff. He's like, hey man, what do you do? What do you be censorship is not cool. That's the point of Bitcoin. It's supposed to be censorship
Yeah,
resistant.
let's have a talk about it. Let's
So
be
talk,
open.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that was the beginning of maximalism, back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just festered.
Yeah. Yeah. Frustrating. I don't like it. Oh man. Well, I think open conversations where people can be respectful and not threaten each other. If you can have open ideas, that's the most healthy environment. Like if you can respect each other enough to say like, well, tell me why you think that without physically or threatening someone,
Well, you have to be able to respect people, and I think
and their ideas.
in general, no, you don't have to respect their ideas. That's the thing. You could not respect someone's idea and think it's ridiculous, but you have to respect the person enough to listen to it and to because once you don't respect the person, then you're not even going to talk about the idea because you don't respect the person enough to listen to them. And I think that's the thing. People have lost civility and respect for each other, and they've gotten to where
masks are an easy way to do that because you stop looking at as a person.
That's a good point.
You know,
But people have been now trained to where like you don't have to respect someone for whatever reason. Oh, you're a Republican? No, I don't respect you. Oh, you're a Democrat? I don't respect you. Oh, you're pro-abortion? I don't respect you. Oh, it's whatever. It's like they're given a pass now.
Yeah.
And before it didn't matter. It's like, oh, you're a human being. I respect you. I don't respect that you think this. I don't respect that opinion. I don't respect that viewpoint. I think that's dumb. But you have to respect the person. And now people like they don't have to respect people, and it just degrades from there into violence, and chaos, which is what we've seen the past few years. But it all starts and is based on just losing respect.
Well, and they were trying to do that again with another summer of love, but trying to push it on the, anti-abortion people. We're going to have another summer of love with that kind of stuff, which I hope they don't see.
I really, it's like you can't not see it coming. People are just fed up, and they're just so tired, and they're ready to just everyone's ready to fight because they're tired of being picked on and apologizing, and it doesn't matter. So I think people are now, and also people don't respect each other to where it's like, I don't respect you anymore. So it's come kind of full circle,
And I think when you start taking people's food away and food away from their babies, I can't remember if it was Uncle Cliff's data or if it was, I can't remember who I was hearing or what I remember hearing, but it was somebody talking about like they remember or they were hearing like young men looking at their, their new wives with the young babies and having hungry babies and the little mamas being like, our baby's hungry. what are you going to do about it? And now I'm seeing, formula shortages, and that is all contrived. That is staged and put in this position to make us in this hostile territory, just like they did with the riots you know, um, in black neighborhoods, to make them turn against each other and to destroy their own neighborhoods in the past. And so we're put in these situations to cause violence and um, cause these situations for us to turn against each other.
And I think I did come to kind of a realization on that. When you look at these different sects and groups, and we've all wondered why they're picking on the right when they're the most armed, they're the most awake, not woke, but awake. And I think I came to the realization it's because of that. If you piss off liberals, they will target a target. They will loot. They will destroy their own, like you said, their own neighborhood.
Mm.
But if you piss off the right, they will attack the courthouse. They will attack the actual enemy. I mean, if you piss off someone enough, they're going to go after the problem. They're not just going to be indiscriminately violent. And I think that is one of the differences. If you want to start a fight, if you want to kill people and control a popular area, put people in jail, kill people, and make the population smaller, gain more control, militarily in your.
Well, the fentanyl issue is an issue in itself. I mean, if you want to depopulate a country,
but I think that's why they use the left. I think that's why they piss off the left instead of the right, because the right aren't as indiscriminate. They would not. I think if you have a crazy right wing group or person, they're going to blow up a government building. They're not going to blow up a Target. They're going to march and set fire to a actual police station if there's police brutality. They're not going to blow up and burn a Target or an auto parts store. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. It wouldn't be random, right?
Yeah. So I think that's why they utilize the left, because they'll destroy their own neighborhoods.
Mm.
I think that's why, because it's obvious they're trying to piss us off to where the left fights the right. But they rile up the left so much to where the left is the aggressor. And because it's so indiscriminate, I think if they riled up the right, they wouldn't like what they get. That's why, the 6th of that month was such a bad thing, because it was straight to them, and they don't want the fight brought to them. They want us to fight amongst each other.
Well, I just think, they want everyone fighting against each other so that they're always the winner, because they're manipulated. Like, once again, I think one of the smartest things you said today was talking about energy never leaving this earth. And I think even if you apply that to this market, the energy is not leaving this market. It's just getting moved around, and they're always the winner. They know where it's going. It's always going, to their pockets. So
yeah, that when I saw $77 Litecoin, I'm like, oh man, I really wish I had more, like liquid money to just buy a bunch.
Yeah, well, me too.
Not like, and Pompliano went on the greed and fear scale. It's almost at the max, and he just made the point, like, there's nothing different about the asset. There's nothing different about Bitcoin. There's nothing that's changed. It's just fear. Yeah. And it's like when cars were so much cheaper, years ago. I remember here, it was under Clinton. It's one of the worst things ever, especially now. Clinton was shutting down military bases all over the place. Like, remember he was cutting the military budget like massively.
Mm-hmm.
And Fort Hood would never close. Everyone said that because it's the biggest military base in the world. And it used to say the free world because we weren't allowed to know what the government knew from satellites because we didn't know Russia had a bigger, or the Soviet Union had a bigger base. So we said the biggest in the free world, but now we know it's the biggest in the world. But it was during Desert Storm. There was talk about Fort Hood being closed, and everything dried up here. There was no, businesses were closing, but the real estate market dropped so much. And we have a ghetto here in my town. It's like one street. It's Sunset. It's not terrible. It's just cheap apartments, like $200 a month.
Government subsidized, yeah.
But they're not government subsidized. They're just regular cheap apartments. Government subsidized isn't clean. But there's on the cheaper side, or the really nice ghetto, it's like a street or two over. Was this cul-de-sac with 3 duplexes, nice brick duplexes, and I was here, I just got married, and they were for sale for $40,000 for the 3 duplexes, not each, but 3 duplexes for $40,000. And I was like, man, I should buy that. I was talking to my ex-wife. I'm like, we should get this. We could live in one of these here, and we could rent out all these other ones. And she was like, yeah, but I don't know. What if they close Fort Hood? And it's like, yeah, I don't know. $40,000. $40,000 for 6 apartments, 3 houses.
Wow.
3 duplexes. Now that would probably be like $250,000. Not even. I mean, that's too low. Those things would probably be about $300,000. And the rent on them would be ridiculous.
Yeah, no telling.
They were, brick. They had yards. They were like, they were like 2-bedroom each. Come on, man.
And who knows what you would have made on rent, except during the pandemic when you would have had to just wash it and take no rent because
No, because it's the military. It comes out of their check.
Oh, okay.
Their check and gets paid to you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's the military. They don't pay you. You go to they get in trouble. Soldiers are not like regular folks.
Different rules, huh?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Crazy stuff. All right. Well, we got to go.
It was good hanging out with everybody.
So good talking to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for all your input, too. There's some really great.
Share. Go subscribe to Satoshi Sean. Like his stuff.
Definitely check out Satoshi Sean's stuff. Wait, I've got Roger Ver up there right now, but hold on. Here, I've got Satoshi Sean up there. And I've got a link to Satoshi Sean's YouTube channel and Twitter in the description, as well as links to connect with me in the description below. So you guys check all that out, and we'll see you tomorrow on Woo Wednesday. And Sean, you're going to do a video with me. I meant to do it over the Mother's Day weekend, but I had kids coming in on multiple days. So you'll do a video with me for my Patreon where we're going to teach people how to do a mint your own coin for Kanaloa sometime this week.
Is Flo going to be on?
I can get Flo to come on, or get one of the developers to come on with us, because I need them to help me with sending the one Kana coin to everybody, so we can do it live with everybody, so they can get help while we're still in beta.
AJ says check your PO box.
Oh, I will. Thank you. I need to go to the post office. I hate going over there, but I will go just for AJ. So thank you. I'll do that. All right, you guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Please give us a like and share this video. Bye.